Our first guests are Craig Hughes, Special Representative, IAM Eastern Territory, and Mike Vartabedian from IAM District 15 Representative. Welcome to the show, Craig and Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How you doing, brother?
First things first, do you think the Patriots are going to the Super Bowl?
No question of it.
Absolutely.
But no, seriously, let's talk about what's going on in Boston. What is going on with 264 and MBTA?
Well, what's going on a little is that the governor, we have this fascination, it seems, with Republican governors, and we elected a Republican governor by the name of Charlie Baker, 2015. Charlie Baker we're very familiar with because he was on a former governor, Governor Weld's staff 25 years ago. He tried to privatize the MBTA, get rid of all the workers and sell it off to private for-profit companies. Well, Charlie Baker gets elected in 2015. We have what you could argue is the worst winter in the history of Massachusetts we have in 2015. And the MBTA shuts down for 3 days. The trains shut down, not the buses. The buses ran at 98%, so they were really the only means of transportation during all of our storms. Governor stood in front of the legislators and said that he needed to fix the MBTA, and he needed an exemption from a law that was put in play when Governor Weld tried to privatize the MBTA. It was called the Taxpayer Protection Act. It was set by a senator by the name of Senator Pacheco, otherwise known as the Pacheco Law. And when that law makes them prove that as well as saving money, that it will not affect the quality of service, which is obviously very difficult to do. Privatization across the country has failed, and so that law really limits them to privatizing. So he said he needed an exemption from that, and he needed it for the extreme backlog of special projects, and that he, in a public meeting, we were actually sitting 10 feet from him, and he said in a public meeting in front of the Transportation Committee that he was not looking to privatize the MBTA, he was not looking to lay off hundreds of workers. And that's what we're facing here today. It's trying to lay off our bus mechanics, sell off bus maintenance to a for-profit company, and the biggest part of this story is that we're ranked #1 in the country for bus maintenance. Our buses go 13,000 miles, an average of 13,000 miles between breakdowns, and the next closest transit agency is New York Transit at 6,000 miles between breakdowns. So we over double the mileage between breakdowns, and with one of the oldest fleets in the country. So, but yet he still wants to sell us off to a private company.
So what are some of the efforts being used to fight back against these privatization efforts?
So we started early on. Once the governor got this exemption from the Taxpayer Protection Act, he also got the MBTA put into what's known as the Fiscal Management and Control Board, which is a sort of receivership. And he appointed a chief administrator, a gentleman named Brian Shortsleeve, whose lineage comes out of Capitol and a conservative think tank here in Boston known as the Pioneer Institute, Koch-funded, ALEC-affiliated group. We engaged Mr. Shortsleeve straight away, recognizing that this was an opportunity and a moment where we could be agents of change, and that we could engage the authority and leverage our institutional knowledge and expertise. We have a 100-year-old history at the MBTA. We've been collectively bargaining as of 2018. So as we like to say, since they unharnessed the last horse, the Machinists Union has been on the watch. And we tried to engage with the company, institute standardized repair times, which is certainly an industry standard, Lean Council, and some other initiatives to try to be an agent of change, and certainly not the obstructionist that they paint us as.
So we mentioned some of the community support that you have. Is there any support from elected officials there in Massachusetts?
Absolutely. We've got our congressional delegation all signed on to a letter asking the governor to negotiate with us instead of privatizing. The Machinist Union has offered $29 million in annual savings in exchange for job security. and they still won't sit at the table and negotiate to avoid privatization. And so a lot of the elected officials have jumped on board. We have our congressional delegation, our entire congressional delegation signed on to a letter demanding that they negotiate with us. Our state reps and state senators often join us. I think in this picture right here, you see Representative Marjorie Decker, who's been very supportive of us. We've just had a lot of help. I mean, in that next picture right there, that's Senator Markey and Senator Tom McGee. Senator Tom McGee chairs the Transportation Committee. It seems we've had a lot of rallies with a lot of political support.
So in this fight, what are the next steps? Like, where do we go from here?
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get out to the public, get our story out to the public, because our story is really a story that is easily told. I mean, we're the best mechanics in the country. We're offering $29 million in annual savings. What is the reason to privatize? The reason to privatize is an ideology. The governor is just following the Republican agenda, privatizing government services, breaking unions, so on. So what we've done is we've done an ad campaign. We put up billboards. As you can see here, those are digital billboards. They actually run like a destination sign on a bus, and they've got the same color scheme as our buses so that they're easily identified. We have commercials out, radio ads, so on, to reach out to the public, the riders, the taxpayers, ultimately the voters. This governor is up for re-election. We want them to know what their governor is doing here in Blue, Massachusetts.
And we have a copy of that radio ad. Rich, let's play the radio ad.
I do not want to privatize the T. I do not want to lay off hundreds of T employees.
That's what Governor Charlie Baker said. He wasn't telling the truth. Right now, Charlie Baker is threatening MBTA riders, workers, and taxpayers. He's planning to lay off the award-winning MBTA mechanics and military veterans that keep our buses safe and operational. By outsourcing MBTA safety and maintenance services to for-profit corporations who aren't accountable to riders or taxpayers, Baker will make the MBTA less safe, less reliable, and more expensive. His outsourcing scheme puts the public in danger just to make money for his corporate buddies. And when the buses start breaking down, that means more traffic, more pollution, and longer commutes for everyone. Thanks, Charlie. See the bad safety records, including rider and worker deaths, that have plagued the companies Charlie Baker wants to run the MBTA. Visit don'tgiveawaythembta.org. Paid for by IAM Local 264.
Wow, that's a powerful ad. Where are these ads being played at, Craig and Mike?
They're really in every media opportunity and venue that exists. They're on radio. We're doing ads on cable. We had an ad run during the Red Sox short-lived playoff stretch as another example.
We'll have to run one during the Patriots.
Yeah.
Well, that might be short too, but I won't digress on that one. So also you having a little fun with this issue. You recently had a cartoon drawn by award-winning cartoonist Richard Crossan.
Absolutely. We think this is great. We think that it captures several elements in a creative and obviously sarcastic way. You know, Boston has a rich history of being intolerant of profiteering dictators. And here you have the governor taking on the backs of the workers a most vital public service and throwing it literally overboard. He's going to take the best in the business, which is not because we say so, but because the MBTA's own data points say so, and trade it for what we would submit is the worst in the business, not the best in the business. So we're certainly excited for this cartoon.
It's definitely been a creative fight, and I definitely take my hat off to both you and Mike in this fight. Is there anything the public can do to support this fight?
Absolutely. You know, especially here in Boston, they can reach out to their legislators, reach out to the governor. Let the governor know what you think about trying to get rid of the best mechanics in the country for an unknown. And actually, I would argue that this fight's not nearly close to being over, but they put out requests for proposals for 3 garages for now, and then go after the others later, really. But they went out for 3 garages, and they were supposed to be due in by October 4th. Well, as of October 4th, only one company, First Transit, had bid. First Transit has a terrible reputation for safety and maintenance. They also have been sued here in the state for abandoning contracts. So they have a very questionable bidder who's bid, and it's only one bidder, and yet they still refuse to sit down and negotiate a deal with us for job security. So we would ask people to reach out to their legislators, reach out to the governor, let him know what you think, and tell them to stop this privatization machinist union, get a deal that's good for the riders, the taxpayers, and for our members.
All right. Well, thank you, Craig and Mike. We appreciate that. And for more information, please check out the local Facebook page, IAM 264 Boston, and also the coalition page, Invest Now MA.